Aaron Click says he's not a big Stryper fan, but I get the appeal. I like a lot of the hair bands. Aaron, man, I grew up in the 80s. I was a teenager in the 80s, so I was big on a lot of those hair bands, you know? It was fun. That's pretty much what it all boils down to. Hair metal bands were just really fun, you know? And then, not to knock, you know, there's 90s great rock, there's 2000s. 90s come in, and rock started getting really deep and heavy and sometimes sad. And, you know, sometimes you want that stuff. But in the 80s, it was just like, hey, we don't got time to be sad. Let's party. You know, that's just how it was. And it was just a great time to be alive. It was a really great time to be alive. I miss it. Because I knew once it was over, it wasn't coming back. It would never, ever come back like it did, you know? Yeah, we would get a resurgence of those bands via the those festivals and whatnot, but you don't see any new hair metal bands coming out, you know? I mean, just sparse. Like, very rarely do you see any new hair metal bands. So, yeah, it's it's a time I was glad to be alive and be a teenager, right? And I enjoyed every second of it. My memories, I have so many great memories of it. And I just got through eating. Yeah. Don't get me started on music. All right, I'll start going down a rabbit hole. Now, and don't think that I just like hair metal. I love all different types of music. I can listen to just about everything. I will say I was a big Stryper, still a big Stryper fan back in the day. For me, it was all about the music. That's what got me in the door. I like good lyrics. I like a good message. Obviously, Stryper was a Christian rock band. But for me, the first thing that's going to get me in the door is the music. And I loved Stryper's music, you know. It was metal, but it had a little bit of a lighter tone to it. But they just had really great songs, too, you know. Really great songs. Matter of fact, I have on vinyl, I have Soldiers Under Command, which is a great album, really great album. I found it at one of these flea markets. Chris Jan, you a Skid Row fan at all? That's funny you say that, Chris. Hold on. My last vinyl I just bought literally days ago. Guys, if you get a chance, stop by Walmart, okay? Because there's a lot of, it'll say like Walmart exclusive, stuff like that. They got a lot of exclusives, and I found this Skid Row. 180 gram. It's a colored vinyl. It's red, but sounds really good. But man, I grew up on this. Is a great album. I wish I had Slave to the Grind, which is an even better album. But this is still really, really great. Stryper. Big fan of Stryper. I like Against the Law. They released Against the Law right before the whole Nirvana thing happened. And there was kind of a nice little transition into that harder stuff like Nirvana because, and Dave Vanderhoff can probably attest to this. If you remember, like in the late 80s, a lot of those hair metal bands were starting to get edgier, you know, and that's where you got like Slave to the Grind, which debuted at #1 on the Billboard charts, by the way. Motley Crue was starting to get a little heavier. Just every band, that was the thing to do even before Nirvana hit. It felt like, I think it's because of like Pantera, Metallica, and so the music started kind of blending into each other a little bit. Even Poison, they started ditching their like the girly look that they had for a more kind of no makeup, jeans, and t-shirt type look. Not really t-shirt, but you know what I mean? So there was kind of a segue into Nirvana. It wasn't just an abrupt type deal. Megacat, I didn't say Pantera was a hair band. What I'm saying was, like, Metallica's not a hair band. There were these bands that started kind of blending in to the hair. It's like, here you got like, well, I guess if you're looking, you got like hair metal, and here's Nirvana, right? Okay? Hair metal, Nirvana. So imagine I got 3 hands, not 3 legs, but 3 hands. And this thing over here is Metallica, Pantera, Slayer, Megadeth. Imagine that's over the top, kind of segue in this bridge right here, okay? Does that make sense? So you had those bands started getting really big in like the late 80s for some reason. Well, I mean, I know the reason. They're great bands. But Pantera was glam rock, like Galford said, back in the early 80s for sure. But they just weren't big at the time. Nobody knew of them. So I think, you know what? Since we're talking music a little bit, I'll say I think Pantera, sometimes timing is important. Yeah, they're talented as hell. They're groundbreaking, but I think they got heavy at the perfect time. Pantera did, because they weren't big before they got heavy. I think if Pantera would have been as successful as other hair bands, it would have hurt them. It would have hurt them because other bands did try to go heavy, but it didn't sustain. Whereas Pantera, as soon as they went heavy, boom, they were big. Before they went heavy, who's Pantera, right? Does that make sense to you guys? Do you agree with that? So, again, it's a blessing in disguise that they didn't, make it, quote unquote, fully make it before they went heavy. Like Cowboys from Hell. Because that album is full, four to the floor. What's the word? What's the phrase I'm looking for? Jesus. I can't think and talk at the same time. Rust in Peace. Yeah, man. That's a freaking album right there. Or Rust in Peace is great. Countdown to Extinction is great. Horn Coffee's great. Man, poor Megadeth, right? Countdown to Extinction comes out. It should have been number one. But it was... Guys, what was the album that Countdown to Extinction was beaten out by? Or was it Michael Jackson? I can't remember. There was an album that beat out Countdown to Extinction. And poor Dave Mustaine, because he was just so hurt by Metallica, and he, everything was competition. He wanted to bury them. He wanted to beat them. And this was his chance. And, Metallica debuted at number 1 with the Black Album. He debuted at number 2. And he debuted at number 2. That's great. But, yeah, Michael Jackson. Thank you, Brandon. I thought it was Michael Jackson. But, yeah, pretty brutal for Megadeth. Guys, answer me this, okay, for my metalheads in the... Right? Better album. What is the better album? And really think about this, okay? Is it the Black Album or is it Countdown to Extinction? Is it the Black Album or Countdown to Extinction? I'll tell you my answer in just a bit. I'll tell you, but I want to see what you guys think first. Countdown, Countdown, Black Album is a sonic masterpiece. Once you go black, Countdown. Well, here's my answer, guys, and I'm not trying to be edgy or cool, but it's Countdown to Extinction. But that's not to take anything away from the Black Album. I think the Black Album's great. I have it on vinyl, which is funny. I don't have Countdown to Extinction on vinyl. I need to look that up. I need to see if I can find it, because I do have the Black Album. But I think the Black Album might be the better produced album, but Countdown to Extinction, I think, pound for pound, it's got better songs, right? Every song on that album is just freaking Megadeth awesomeness, So, and maybe some of the maybe the Black Album was kind of overplayed too, like that back in the day, man. They played the hell out of that album, just constantly. And they had like 5 or 6 big hits off of that album. So, yeah. What's up, guys? You are at the end of the DDLive clip. What I do is I like to clip these out if I think the topic is important or something that's newsworthy. So, thank you for watching. And if you want to watch more, you can go over here. You can go over here. Click on one of those. And hopefully I can do this for 20 seconds, which I think I did. Okay, so yeah, thanks for watching, guys.